Hello, I'm Wendy, and Mads wanted me just to share my story about how I came to know Jesus. So I grew up in London and I had mum and dad and a brother, and I used to be all right at school. I used to have quite a fun time, had friends, and to be honest, if you looked at me, if I was your friend at school, you probably would have thought that I was just an average kind of girl. I was quite happy. Everything was all right, I think, and I generally did. I had quite a good life. I had lots of friends and family around and had lots of fun times. But actually in those quiet times when I was on my own, that's when I started to realise there was something wrong. I started realising that actually inside I was a bit of a mess. It was sort of, I hit those points where I was quite low and I kind of didn't know who I was. And I tried to sort of be cool, try to fit in with groups at school. I loved stirring. And getting people into trouble. I loved knowing the gossip and having that power over people, causing trouble behind the scene, which wasn't good. My mum went to church, so I grew up occasionally when I could be bothered to get out of bed, going to church, and I knew there was a God, like I never doubted that, but I didn't understand Jesus. I didn't understand. I had a close friend and a God who loved me for who I was. So I just tried finding this in different places. I got in with a sort of bad crowd, started drinking, boyfriends, friendships, but everything just never satisfied me. And I had good moments, I had a lot of fun, I had a lot of laugh. But actually, deep down, if you really took me apart and had a look inside my soul, actually, they all failed. I was low, I had low moments, I had lots of tears, lots and lots of tears. And I kind of got to a place where I just realised no one really knew the real Wendy. I got to 19 and I got into a real dangerous situation, which led me to a place where I cried out to God. And the next day, I went to my mum's church to prove I didn't need church. I didn't need God. God didn't exist and there was no place for me there. No one made me feel welcome, made me feel like I had any friends there. And after the first few minutes, I just wanted to go. But I can't quite explain what happened, but Jesus broke in. Every song that was sung wasn't sung in tune. It was quite out of tune, to be honest. But the words of the song were Jesus singing over me. It was like Jesus had a personal love song. And that evening I cried and I cried and I cried. And I realised for the first time that I had been running away from the only person, the only one who really knew me, who loved me, and someone who would never let me down. It says in Luke 7:47, it talks about someone who has many sins. Someone who makes lots of mistakes, who knows that they're bad and that they can't do it alone, actually have forgiven so much. And I was just like this person. For the first time, I realised all my mistakes, all the people I hurt, all the things I'd done wrong. And yet there was this Jesus who wanted to love me, who wanted me over everything. And I just felt that love. I felt that forgiveness and that freedom straight there and then. And though it was awesome just meeting Jesus, my life was transformed. I suddenly started knowing the reason and purpose and the hope in my life. But actually, I knew the mistakes I'd made. I knew how much God loved me. And though my life had transformed and I could start having this relationship with God forever, there were times where even now I look back and realise the pain and the hurt I caused others. And I pray over all of you that whether you know Jesus now or not, that you don't go through life not understanding this joy, this forgiveness of knowing Jesus right now. That you can have a relationship with Jesus right now. You can have a relationship that isn't just I think I believe, but I really want to know you, Jesus, right now. And if you do that, you're going to stop having a life that you end up destroying, causing pain and hurt. Temptations are really tricky. When you start them, it's really hard to stop. And if you don't stop them, they're not temptations. You don't go there. And so though becoming a Christian in theory is quite easy, you just know that Jesus is the Lord and Saviour. You say sorry for all your mistakes and all the times you've chose to do your way. And you go and run to this amazing God, Jesus, who loves you no matter what, has forgiven you no matter what. And rather than build up a whole list and a life of mistakes and problems and things you've done wrong that you've actually can't take back. You can't take back those words you say. You can't take back the words and the situations that destroy others' lives. But you can choose Jesus today, and you can choose to live for him 110%, 120%. It's the best thing ever.